All right, we'll call to order the meeting of the Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees at 7:05 p.m. here on November 4th, 2024. First item of business, we'll do roll call to go through Stephanie Borsari, May Bayer, Aaron Harrigan, Peter Leonard, not present. All right. We'll now open the meeting up for public comments. Too many months of going through. No, I will get used to it, John. I swear to God. All right. There's no public comments here in the room and none on the call, so we will move on to the next item of business, which is the approval of minutes. Hopefully everyone has already reviewed. I noted one thing on item number 9. It's listed as Vanguard, 2 words. It should be 1 word, Vanguard. That was the only thing I had.
8C, just a tiny typo, the last sentence I viewed.
Oh.
Very
But
I'm gonna put you on mute. You don't have to ask anything.
I want to make sure you can hear us, David.
You see why I didn't show up.
Any other comments? Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from the September meeting.
Second.
Actually, can you restate that? The October meeting? That's the typo in our minutes.
Oh my gosh.
I just read my.
You did it, you did it. You did a great job. It was one of those, I saw it coming down the road. Oh, no, I missed that when we did the minutes.
I have September. Oh, that's what's okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I move that the Library Board of Trustees approves the meeting minutes from the October meeting.
All in favor? So moved. All right. With that, we'll go into the chairman's report. Not much to report, to be honest. So I will cede the time to the next item of business, which is the library updates.
So October was action-packed. We had another successful program in the main floor with local author and social media star. The video is actually up. We've been allowed to put the video for a couple of weeks, so we really suggest watching it. Tommy Soap was awesome. We had 150 people on that main floor, and it sounded great. It looked great. We were really, really proud of those programs. At Woods, we brought back board game night. It's actually why the room next to us at the last board meeting was so loud. A wonderful group of volunteers has reinvigorated our tech assistance program. This is the parents and children who are athletes in the school system. So it's really cool. They volunteer for us a lot. And now we have a couple moms and sons, daughters, and moms who are helping with tech assistance, and we love it. Second floor of the library was at the end of the month was a life-size Candyland. We went down this hallway down to the administrative offices. It was amazing. We loved it. It was hilarious. We could hear the programs going on all day. We hosted multiple story times in and out of our building as usual, and teens watched a Halloween classic and also solved a mystery, the Halloween classic being the original Beetlejuice. Operationally, things went smoothly. We had some new friends on the second floor that we hope to get rid of soon. This is a continual issue with kids eating in the children's room. These ones are fuzzy at least. Staff caught a thief. Jan is one heck of a PI. We overcame a bunch of plumbing issues, which we don't know why those are there, but I'm starting to get a little worried about plumbing in the building. Administration worked diligently on a new request for new proposals on our integrated library system, and we assisted the town's comptroller on an internal audit which we will look at next month. And other than that, I say it was a quiet month, but it really wasn't. It was an incredibly busy month. Really surprised me. This is one of those months where you read all the department's reports, and then you start writing the report yourself, and you realize like, holy mackerel, this was one month. So it was good. We had a great time. And so did we. And then I'll hand it over to Jan for both future programs and the annual report that you don't need.
So I just want to say there were a lot of hands on deck for the mystery of the missing video game. Shout out to the police department for wonderful. So we have selected our OBOT book, One Book, One Town, and the author have secured the author. They will be coming on March 5th for the author visit, and that's going to be held at SAQ Theater this year. Lots of programs at in both branches coming up in November. There's one on leaf blowers. That should be very interesting. That's at Woods. The teen department is making seed cake and pickles at Fairfield Woods. And children's has coding class coming up, and they're gonna make thaumatotropes. Anyone saw that? I didn't know what that was, but it's an optical illusion toy. Unfortunately, we decided to cancel the volunteer appreciation luncheon that was scheduled for this Thursday because so many people could not come, and we only had 22 people who were going to come. So we're gonna try to do it later on. April, we think, is National. I also wanted to say that we had the Halloween parade on last Thursday, which was fantastic. That's a favorite event for staff, where the preschoolers parade through the building in their costumes. They're so cute, so fun. So the annual report was completed the first week of October, and this is something we do for the state every year. We've done a few, I'll just mention a few highlights, which will be the format of the report that went out in the packet is not that great. I noticed that a lot of the questions, there's only half of what the question was there, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense for something. But there'll be infographic, as we do annually, coming up in the next couple of months. We'll have ready for the budgeting. But just one thing, the attendance last year was up 11%. Over FY23, items borrowed were up 9%.
Yeah. This included in the pack. I didn't see how much.
It was included in the pack. I did not make copies for today because it was lousy. So pretty soon the state will release it, and then I think it might be in a better format. They went to a different portal to use to collect the data this year, and this didn't come out too good. We ended up with in the end.
The report too, as long as we were. Was it being?
So
Maybe
this
like
is a
20,
combination of,
federal.
so this goes to the Divisional Library Development, State Library, which they were kind of under. And then it's a combination of what they want to ask and what IMLS wants. So the federal level, it's so it's museums and libraries. We currently don't have a director. We won't have a director until January. Makes us a little nervous, but that's the state. It's the part of the federal government that oversees library service.
If you do look at that report that went out, the first column all the way to the left, it has like a CP or an F in it, if it's reported for Connecticut purposes or federal.
Oh, I see what.
It's nasty, but we were up in most categories. Print circulation only increased by 2%, but our digital loans increased by 32%. So overall,
What was the ebooks? Was it?
yeah.
Okay.
And audio is really big. Some numbers now. Audio Physical audio went from 8,900 from 9,500 to 8,900. So it was a drop in physical audio, but downloadable audio was a huge increase. Yeah, see, no, I'm sorry, I can get the numbers for you.
Is that, is that all through Libby?
Libby and Hoopla. That went from 3,200 to 4,800.
And a little bit.
32,000 to 48,000 audios
Wow.
in one
In one
year.
year.
So that's a pretty big increase.
That's, yeah, 50% increase.
Unfortunately, that's one of the most expensive things here. But fortunately, we have
Yeah,
a donor.
get money earmarked.
I think that's it.
Awesome. All right, with that, we'll move into the policy review that will be. Scott, anything to,
No, I gotta send this to the town attorney just for him to look over because this is my own policy he passed. He was on board with the town, but other than that, I don't think there's gonna be any real need for substantive change. This is a really important policy, especially when it comes to First Amendment auditors, which have shown up at public libraries across the country and in Connecticut in particular. So, when reviewing it, just keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons why this policy exists. And we did in the last week actually have someone break this policy. We could not sleuth to figure out who they were, but the patron was interested to learn that, yes, what this person was doing was actually working on.
This policy, the way it is now, is sufficient.
Yes, it really is. So I'm curious to see what Iris is his take on it, but
what had happened?
it was someone who was in the children's room who was kind of publicly shamed. Someone took pictures of them. They were in the children's room looking at their phone and not with child there.
Someone records.
Someone else took pictures. Which can happen.
Yeah. Oh, my laptop doing work and then it's Sam.
So it is,
Do what you gotta do.
we're very clear that these things are not allowed, and if we could, cause they would probably lost library.
Good to know. Good. All right, so yeah, everyone could just, if there's things to share, as soon as you hear back from the town attorney, just, you wouldn't mind just circulating that once you get his notes. So we have time to review prior to next meeting. All right, with that, we will move into our committee, slash liaison reports, starting with the fundraising committee.
Okay. So I sent out an email.
Sorry, I
Don't-
don't, I just thought.
That's
when I was
okay.
walking in today, so.
You know what it is? It's like exposure to the work that I'm doing and it's messy looking. As delegated by Andrew at the October meeting, I've been working on an existence policy. It needs, in my mind, from my experience, a fair amount of updating, taking apart, putting back together, categorizing. From there, and so I sort of sent it out just as an update so that you would see it fundraising committee members and Andrew and Scott. I think what happens next is, again, it's a mess, questions, it's got comments, etc. I think what happens next is for me to synthesize all of that and then pull the committee together. And we can review those questions, any that you also have, which will take us to a draft for a presentation and proposal and recommendation to the rest of the trustees. Does that sound like the right approach?
It does. I'm just, one thing that I'm just thinking out loud, we was invited to town charter reform. Meeting next week, this week, I don't know. It's this week, it's less than what? I just want to make sure, we'll be discussing this later in the agenda, but I think the steps are correct. Let's make sure with whatever we're putting forth, comment wise to with regards to changes, our suggested changes that they both align. I don't foresee them having any issue with this. But just looking at the chart, what's in the charter versus what we want to be in the charter, making sure that we're not doing work and then rework, just keeping everything, which we should be fine. But obviously, as we go through charter reform, we know that things could always get squirrely.
I think.
But yes, I think this is a good process.
I think one point of it too, particularly because we had talked about presenting recommendations to trustees as far as our personal time and contributions and I guess where is that? Is what I'm looking for, of board members with regard to fundraising. I think this all ties together, so it feels complicated. I'm trying to keep it clear and clean while also tying the through line. Because after that, and now thinking about the charter and trustee expectations, what comes out of all of this is then guidelines, practical action steps for staff when presented with gift to me. So
Yes.
that'll be a committee activity too. I think once the policy is approved.
Policy first.
So, I also I didn't get to watch it, I didn't get to join, but I requested the recording of last week's three-legged stool approach to the library. Did you watch it? Did you watch it? You did?
Good.
Was it? So they're gonna send out a recording because they're editing it, so. We can,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
any questions? Sort of a,
I think the email was good.
No, this is quite helpful. Just call that out to make sure that
yeah.
we're keeping that. It's one of those things that obviously we have the changes that we proposed last year. We're doing the same thing 2 years ago, whatever it was. But we're doing the same things. We can refer to those changes. There may be some wrangling with town attorney as we go through it, but the ultimate goal being clear picture of what we do versus what the town does, how we bring in the universe, so to your point, the three-legged stool, and for us, even just the double town sitting.
like the tabletop. What's in the three lips?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And if you do get a recording of that, if you wouldn't mind circulating.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, happy to help look at a draft or brainstorm before ready.
I think I just took a first pass on it, so it's all in there, and if maybe, maybe a great action then would be to take a look at it, if you can even dissect what I've written. And then maybe get to the next stage. Okay. Great, thank you.
Awesome. Building committee, there are no updates, however, we will be having a walkthrough with Scott, John, Nancy on 22nd. So we should have some stuff coming out of that. And yeah, really what day of what month, what day it is. Okay, so with that, then move on to.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Andrew. Hey, everybody, glad to be back. All as always. October was the National Friends of Libraries Month. It's an enjoyable time. I was joined here at the main library by Scott, Andrew, and Bill Gerber, where he issued a proclamation declaring October as such, and had some very kind words to the friends, trustees, the library staff, and library staff. A letter to the editor, got a little traction. I think I covered everybody. You guys, trustees, town leaders, thank them all for supporting the library. So if you haven't had a chance to read, I believe. What else? Coming this month is the Friends biannual book sale. That's November 15th through the 17th. It's usually a pretty decent moneymaker for us. Obviously, we can't compete with people out of Westport. The size of their book sales. I don't know. But we bring in a fair amount of money. There seems to be a never-ending stream of folks that really enjoy it. So, we're happy. Any questions, any concerns from you all? No? Oh, that's great.
Just a very basic question about fundraising, actually.
Yeah.
You know, aside from the Friends events, which are free fundraisers and or maybe there's solicitations to join the Friends, and this isn't just a Friends question, but a general question. What fundraising initiatives really are already exist or, you know, besides the event? Or is that the main, sorry, this is sort of an obvious question.
Just like if you're looking for a list of events at the Friends.
Besides events, like are there, and you know, like there's the bequests that people leave, do those just sort of come through organically from people who are
Yeah.
already involved? So is there fun, you know, that's my question is sort of, is there outreach in
So
already is happening
from
or?
our perspective on the board, we have not done that type of fundraising of, you know, putting it out to the community of, if
Right.
you're redoing your will, library.
That, or,
Uh,
you know, just gifts, just straight out.
Yeah, so we have not done, and part of that was we are not secret. Like that's,
Right,
but also it drives that interaction through the events.
right.
So I guess, Mike, I'll kick that over to you in terms of just general gift drive, you know.
Of course, not to say that the events aren't excellent. I was just curious.
Well, there's events that we've done for quite a long time. Literary luncheon, book sale. There's events that have been in per se within the last 10 years. Just like the Roller Factor shows, the food festival. And then there's, you know, the art gallery generates a few dollars here and there. But
I would say though, May, in terms of just general non-specific fundraising, in terms of gifts or bequeathments in that sense, I have not seen in my time on the board any sort of behind that, and has been very event driven and community driven,
Yeah,
because that's obviously what drives engagement with the community and interest in the library rather than just general give us your money.
yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Is that something that, you know, like that's sort of what, obviously what we want to focus on, or is there any interest in?
I think it's a conversation potentially for the fundraising committee, if there is an interest in doing something like that, if you could bring examples of impactful things like that, because I do like, I mean, first, this is me personally, what I think the Friends do very well, is they do the events very well of
Yes,
what is,
definitely.
you know, my favorite is obviously mini golf,
spaghetti.
Don't worry. Except if you're John's name, forget you. But it is the kind of thing that it makes it feel more growing the community
Yes,
and there's value to everyone as opposed to just, you know, it's not meant to run poorly, but I don't want us to be the the library that is out there, you know, shaking the cane. So I would say just, yeah, use that. I don't think it's
Not against, but not.
correct. I think it makes a lot of sense for it to be stuff that is very engaging.
Yes.
And involves the library and makes it a very holistic experience. So that there's seen, the value is seen,
Everyone can contribute.
yeah.
And they also keep in mind that another source of our revenue is to become a friend.
Yes.
So that's always,
Yeah.
that's a
Very
non
true.
source.
Events and membership are not an annual fee. We're not like sending out.
Yeah, we're not doing a telethon.
Against that.
No, not per
Just
se.
curious.
I think there's a. You know, if it's tied to something specific and not just a generic. I don't disagree with that. I think there could be. You know, as we go through the process of. Not allocating, rather. I guess allocating might be the right term, allocating some of the funds to specific things like we have with the. I forget her name already, with the money for hearing impaired. Simco. Where that is something that is of importance to you, whether it's children's or the hearing impaired, or things that have been important to you over the last year, there's potential there. Yeah, I would just say let's not take it off the table.
Yeah.
It's more just use it. It's something that I think,
The Friends do an annual appeal, like kind of, they
Okay.
distribute a flyer letter to, library patrons at the end of the year, so at the circulation desk or gets the letter, but they don't do a mailing.
yeah,
There's a great, they do the great. They changed it this year. They stopped doing the county great gift.
Oh, yeah,
We will use any and all opportunities to get people interested in either. Or whatever they feel.
Yeah.
Wins are like.
Is the appeal for membership or for gifts? I mean, I know that.
Yeah.
Is a gift.
One of the components in the existing gift acceptance policy is naming opportunities. I think once we get that policy narrowed down, we can make it publicized in an appropriate way, right? Because we'll get a list. Eventually, we'll create a list of actual naming opportunities and what it costs to get that naming opportunity.
It will be that,
I think so. That's,
drilled down into, X amount.
yeah, I think so. I know that's, you guys are, from what I understand, the library staff is fielding these kinds of inquiries a couple of times a month. So if we can get to a list like that, then it's hard to tie it all together and soft appeal.
Is there something on the website that people see that they're doing? Because there was talk on I can't remember, years, but one of the boards was talking about making it like somewhere on the website.
many libraries do have that, but we only have it under.
I don't know, maybe is it linked?
The Friends on their membership brochure, I don't know if you noticed, but they have a couple of funds that people can earmark additional donation for, which would be the One Book, One Town, music program, sound waves, and I don't know if there's another.
I would be
If
curious.
that money that comes in goes out for those purposes.
Yeah, I would be curious to see how, if it's a sort of a passive way of giving online that's not really advertised, I'd be curious to see how frequently or how many gifts we're getting for the friends. Thing successful.
It is, I mean, we're transparent, you know. I'm happy to bring to this meeting.
That'd be great.
Like,
Just curious to
Mhm.
see, and if there's, I completely understand, we don't want to be sort of overkill in that department, but I'd be curious to see if there's any, if people just love the library so much. I was here with my family a few days ago and we were just, we just love it, and I think everyone really does. Maybe with not too much prodding, like there are gifts out there that we wouldn't want to leave on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something else. We approach the end of the year. Well. All right. Mike. You're welcome. All right. Okay. Treasurer's report. So. We have received the treasurer's report from Aaron. It looks like the funds are up slightly in October, with a total of 10.2 million of 14.5%, which is great. We do have the separate account for the donated stock under the Vanguard Fund umbrella. And so the large patron donation, we'll have to talk through this a little bit more as we go through the giving. But we did have those created for meeting last month. So that is great. All right. Moving into the reconciliation and check registry. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to review this point. Any questions with regards to?
At what point do we write off unclear deposits and credits?
That's a really good question because, I think Scott may have mentioned that we're undergoing an audit of revolving funds, and that was one of the things, there was no check. Which one is it that you're talking about?
1748 March 2024.
Was that March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was brought up in the audit and that's been taken care of, but I asked the auditor, what do you recommend? And she thought like it was more than 90 days, we could investigate and read it back or whatever.
Yep.
So that would help. But that one, I think, isn't it marked void on here at this point?
It is.
I don't have the right glasses for seeing paper.
Oh,
Is it marked?
shows
in there?
0.
Yeah, 0 because
Did we read it?
it's
It was
been voided.
reissued. Yeah, it's been reissued as 1876. Cool.
So then when does it fall off our report?
Hopefully next time.
Hopefully.
So like once it's been reissued, just, so I know this is the question, I feel like. Just pick up on those silly one-offs. And I don't want to be annoying about it.
Yeah.
That's,
No,
very happy to.
Well, I can delete it rather than void it. That might just track, because I see Leslie Hagel's check
Yeah.
was on the month before as well. I'll look at
Was that one? Was that one cash though?
Not that one was reissued.
Okay.
And
And
it's
this-
still showing up.
Yeah, I don't want to waste time, and yet when they stick out like that,
If it's voided, it's. I think technically not on players.
Yeah, void.
right, so maybe it's just. No,
I'll look into that. So on the check for approval, we have, the gallery improvement movable walls is the big expense there. Want to say anything about that?
Yeah, we just wanted to call it up to your attention because it's so much. And this is, we actually discussion about 6 months ago. Some upgrades to the gallery, and the trustee board agreed that it was more of a capital expense. Shouldn't be on the Friends. Donna was pretty clear, it shouldn't be on the Friends, it should be on the board. So this is the cost of those new movable walls. These are walls that come down and go up depending on how much art we're showing. More expensive than we expected it to be. It was a little bit of sticker shock, but.
Anything with painting art.
Yeah, really expensive. So.
And it is within the for furniture.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're just gonna have to make sure to sign that to the.
Were we supposed to do something with the updated budget that reflects the Friends
Not yet. We'll do a budget mod, like,
Because it's in the pack.
we'll put forth a budget modification in the third quarter, the beginning of third.
Yeah,
If we think there's money that needs to be moved.
But this is within
I-
the original.
so we'll take this as a follow-up, but I think this is something that we should potentially look at next month in advance of the back half starting.
Okay.
Just so, I mean, just when I think about how I've done budget planning, it's always in advance of the quarter or half starting.
Okay.
So just to make sure that we're,
And then the other thing will be, the check for the storyteller for the life, and we won't need that.
is this our final payment for Sterling?
It might be beyond the final payment,
Yeah, we're still trying to.
because it's getting the 19,000, I thought was the final payment, and.
Okay,
Figuring that out.
that I do just want, yeah, you can verify that one for us.
Surprisingly. Now that they've done a great job and looks at it.
Yeah, I gotta talk to Mary and if it's connect. This invoice.
Did they have a contract?
They had, but there were some additional costs that came up and the project progressed.
Right.
But I think this is, I'm not really sure what's going on today. I didn't get a hold of our person.
Yeah, so the memo is VIP website support.
It might be something that needs to go on town budget, or it might be something that we don't.
Yeah, so I do also want to make sure that that's not a recurring cost. They're gonna continue to invoice.
Wondering. But if it's not part of the original contract.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Who does any updates to the website that are timely? Do you have
That's-
administrator rights?
That's, we have
Yeah,
all
we
the
have-
administrative.
Webmaster. Yeah, do double check that that's not a recurring cost, because it's flat.
Yeah, it's not the hosting cost. That's
No,
what
that was-
confused me. That's what I thought, right?
Yeah. No, it looks like a support,
Yeah.
concierge support fee.
We have a webmaster, this is like the meeting.
No, and I don't recall seeing that in the contract, or reading through the contract, I don't recall seeing some of
Yeah,
that.
this was a surprise. Trying to get today, to kind of
Yeah,
figure things out, but didn't get hold.
You wanna eliminate it from that list?
I do. Till we get to the bottom of it. Yeah, that's money that is not budgeted and we're not expecting, so yes, you now want to check for that. Cool. All right, then we'll. Mhm.
And then the other thing that's in there is just. Real quick, we're just sharing with you how, where we are in the town budget. Pretty much. It's just our year-to-date budget.
Oh, yeah,
Nothing outstanding or anything that's,
okay, nothing really fall out.
nothing really.
Okay. So with regards to reconciliation from check registry, I would like. I'd like to make a motion, that the Board of Trustees approves the October reconciliation and the check registry excluding. The Sterling Brand Works check.
Worried now.
For $8,000. There's,
There is, but do we also want to not be sending them a shell hands?
Including that and that.
oh, yes.
I'm sorry, what was the second?
Michelle Jacobs.
Yes. I did that one too. So, I'll say it again. As moved, the library board of trustees approves the October reconciliations and the check registry excluding the $8,000 check for Sterling Brand Works until further investigation, and the Michelle Jacobson check for $150 for the volunteer lunch that has been canceled.
I second that one.
John seconds. All in favor? All right, so moved. So Scott, let me know if you or Jan, just take a look at the contract, or if you need, or it's a, if there's, just, get a response from them first,
Yeah, we'll figure it.
then we'll go through that. All right, on to old business. The purchasing policy. Excuse me. We did have too many sheets. So got another month.
Yeah, just give me another month.
Okay.
October was busier, like I said, than expected, and
We have less than a month since the last time we met, so. Perfectly on hand. So then, next item of business is with regards to policy, following up on the policy map. You were collecting the pricing against that and some of the details. So if you want to. You mentioned here, it's 4,300 for a 1-year subscription. Anything else you want to call out with regards to this?
no, I just think it's gonna be really helpful when we're doing our strategic plan. The one thing that what is that, hard penetration is something that we really need. And one thing that this tool will help us do is not only see where physically we're not getting that hard penetration, how people are using us, where they're coming from, and also their demographic. Are we not getting people, in need? Like I said, I've used a similar tool, and it was really eye-opening and really helped us kind of create a marketing or how we were gonna attract people, why they weren't using us, where they were, and what their demographics. It'll be really helpful. I think it'll also be helpful in the conversation around what's
Yep.
seeing, where are people going to use this? And what's their, not only to understand how maybe we can change our approach, but also kind of help us create a story on why that branch is so important. I did note in my operations report, we continue to see close to double-digit percentage growth every month at Woods. I also want to know, if we look at new car registration, where are we getting all these new?
That's great.
And not that it will impact my vote to approve. At one point you had suggested the possibility of collaborating with other departments. Their use.
That interest is still there. So this contract's already been approved by the Board of Selectmen. The selectman himself was really interested in this. And I know, and Mark was at the meeting, the head of economic development was there. He and I had a conversation about this. So I think we're gonna use this tool. We're gonna, talk to Mark about it, show Mark how it works. And my hope is, because I would like to continue to have this, and I would love to have the public facing component of it. So you could go in, if you were starting, if members of the public who own a business could go in and look and see, where are these certain groups in the town? I think this could be a really great forward facing tool as well. Things work slowly in government, so I wanted to just get it and start playing with it and then show other department heads how it can be used. Maybe the hope that the town takes this.
For both locations.
So these are both options. It would give us multiple sign-ins and then upload our data, all of our users.
And do you anticipate it would be just for 1 year or?
My hope is to get us others interested in it to help share the price and to continue it for more than 1 year and have a public facing. To purchase the component that's public facing. So it could be, you could just go to the library website or to the library, sign in and do research. But, you know, I want to get some of my more savvy staff doing it and because we can also use this to answer reference. We get very similar references. It's like, hey, I am wondering, you know, how many people this level of income are in the town of Fairfield, where do they live? You know, where do people who make over, you know, between $100,000 and $150,000 a year, where do they live in the community? And that's really helpful.
So it's not just food.
It's not just use the library, they use census data and they use some data from other sources. So it's really helpful. What I like about Policy Map is it does not, other products like this actually then use your data. Policy Map, it's just, it stays within that side.
And of course, the fundraiser in me goes, ah.
Yeah.
Indeed. And I also note that, we'll get to it in a moment. But within what we've budgeted for the strategic plan, based on the costs, this does fit within the budget for that.
Right.
Two. With that, do we have a motion to approve?
I so move that the library board of trustees approves a 1-year subscription.
Second,
All in favor? So moved. Scott, let us know if you need anything to subscribe, otherwise,
Good to go.
good to go. Let's double check there's no website maintenance fee, huh? I will take a look at the appendices in there. I just thought they were in the packet. Just wanna. So, we'll take a look.
Perfect.
So that actually ladders very nicely into strategic plan. Scott has requested to engage with Maureen to get her estimate on terms of time and costs to do for her consultation services on a new strategic plan for us. We see the benefit of working with Maureen is that she did our previous strategic plan. So I think that makes sense. As you can see that there is the estimated cost is between 10 and 15,000 at an hourly fee of 500 per hour. So seems reasonable. I believe we did 25K the last time we did it. So much of the heavy lifting has already been done. This is, as you can kind of see in her presentation. I don't know if there's anything in here that you want to call out specifically, Scott, but I was just noticing that, you know, so she's done. But some of the engagement of non-library use, you know, stuff in the public that we've seen to be very successful. She do it in this, and I think it's not the whole thing where meeting with all the staff, all that. So I think this seems very reasonable.
just have some general questions about what this is. I know we have a strategic plan. This report presentation was in 2020. So could we just put more context around what our objectives?
So our
and the
objective
expected
is-
outcomes-
Is to take the plan that we already have.
Yeah.
And build on it. So in other words, I'm a big fan of like, I don't want to just start over with a whole new plan. And although I think I think the best strategic plans are more guidance documents. Than they are like, okay, we're gonna do X and then we get X and it's like, well, what are we gonna do? What I liked about the library's current strategic plan is there's endpoints and there's goals. But really what it does is really guides us in our decision making. So that's why I like going with Maureen. What she's going to do is, she is going to, you know, we will do, which will help with publicize. We will do a survey for the public. I always like to do a survey for users and then a survey for non-users. So she'll take that data, because the community has changed, and say, okay, what, and then look at our strategic plan reporting that we've done for you, and say, okay, what have we done in work? What can we kind of sunset? Because either it's just become part of our everyday operation, or it's just didn't work. It's not a lot that didn't. So it's what do we keep and keep working towards? What do we feel like we don't need to work towards anymore? For one of those two reasons, and what are things that we've missed in the last? Fairfield's changed dramatically since it's been 3 years yesterday. Day before yesterday. Right. So it's been 3 years. And I have watched this community change significantly in those 3 years. In the positive. Maybe a little too many New Yorkers. But you know, in the positive. So it's taking the plan and looking at it and going, okay, what has changed in the community that we can then shift this around and really kind of reinvent. So, you know, again, there will be sitting down with the staff and doing an analysis with the staff. There's some stuff we did in the last strategic plan that we should have done a little more in depth. So, you know, we do have a staff development day coming up, and we will actually be either talking to the full staff or a sample of the full front lines. We really didn't do that in our last strategic plan, and I would really like to do it this time around. I would love to do, and this is where we're gonna need a little bit of help. I would love to do an actual meeting with non-users. And not just having them fill out a survey, but let us know, why, you know, you could be a supporter and not a user, or you don't use this at all. And then the other thing that I'm hoping we're gonna be able to do is we'll sit down with stakeholders. My vision would be Friends Board and the trustees all together, which can also be a good group team building. Sometimes this process, the strategic plan process, can also be a really great team building exercise. But I would really like to get, we've done this in another library, elected officials, users and non-users, to see what is their opinion of what they like to see. And it's not to say if someone comes in the door and says, you guys need to ban books, that's gonna be a part of our strategic plan, but often that's informative of, okay, we're not gonna ban books, but maybe we need to work on informing these elected officials to why the library operates. And why, you know, and the public, why we shouldn't ban books. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, to hear voices that we didn't hear last go around. That I'd like to do.
Keep in mind it was prime COVID time when we did it last time, so it's mostly done over Zoom.
Are we still thinking another 5 years then? Is that what?
I like to do 3-year strategic plans. I think 5 years, no, I mean, honestly, tomorrow could tell us,
That's true.
you know, can totally inform us of how we move. Yeah, again, the IMLS may not exist in June. And that means less funding for the Department of Library Development, which then means less funding coming to us and less guidance. So, you know, I would have told you, you know, when this strategic plan was being done, actually do 2 years. Because of COVID, and we didn't know at the time what public libraries were gonna look like. But I do think if this process was planned a little on the other side of this election, I'm much more comfortable with us doing this after this election, because we'll understand the federal landscape a little bit better. But 3 years, I think, is max. I think 5 years in this, the way the world is right now, you have no idea what the world's gonna look like. We had no idea what the world. I mean, think about 5 years ago was pre-COVID, COVID. Astroturfing of book challenges, lost. I mean, 5 years ago, you know, it was a whole different one. So 3 is good, and you know, again, we report every quarter, and this staff has really embraced strategic management. They game it a little bit with us and say, hey, I want to do this, and this is how it fits in the strategic plan, but that's really what you
Not a
want.
bad thing, it's what it's for.
Yeah, it's what you want. They know that's my first question, so the answer is, as they walk in.
I would agree. I think the other benefit of having it being a 3-year as well, Scott, is as we get into one of the things we'll talk about here in a minute. If the town charter revisions do go through as we hope they do, that term become 3 years. So there is an aspect of continuity on the board, that there may be changes, so. I do align moving it from 5 years to 3 years, because it's kind of thing that we'll be potentially seeing more.
Thank you. Thanks for going through that.
Great. And this is one, obviously, we'll keep, since it is hourly, it's. You're not putting her on retainer, correct?
No,
Bill?
we have to figure out some kind. So the board of selectmen can approve it. so.
Okay.
Unless she thinks she could do all the work. I'm not sure.
Do
but we'll
we
see.
have her old contract somewhere?
No, she did it all. She sent me everything she had. So
Okay.
I have to have a conversation with her and just see where we're at with that, so.
I recall that we didn't pay her at all until the end. It's been,
Yeah. I'm trying to think if we. Cause it was, I wanna say it was like 25K.
It was for 20.
I think she would just do a flat fee.
No, no more in and more inside.
Yeah. So just. Essentially a limitation
Yeah.
of, anything above 15,000.
Yeah.
Will need approval by the board. So yeah, I would say. So I will, make the motion. I so move that the library board of trustees approves hiring Maureen Sullivan to facilitate the strategic plan update for up to $15,000. And anything above that will need additional approval. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? So moved. And that would keep us with that plus. CMAP, we are within our budget for strategic plan update. Okey dokey. And next item under old business is the privacy and confidentiality of library records policy. As noted in the memo, there are the administration's requesting no changes. Does anybody have questions with regards to the policy? That was something was reviewed, no changes. We just want to make sure we're on top of these policies moving forward. We got this December black.
Feels like we just did.
Yeah, so no changes. So no vote is necessary.
Just think that time is fine, not saying that we should approve.
No, this is something that we didn't have in place. We put it out there because people need to know.
Right.
Not the dark days now again too. Okay, great. So moving on to that, we'll then go into new business. So. As discussed previously, the town charter, there has been a request for comments to the town charter revision board, from all the different department chairs and different departments. So, Scott, I don't know if you want to walk through this.
I mean,
Just anything to call out.
I think we really need to look at the financial piece, because this also came up in the audit. The financial piece still, we technically haven't been following the charter. Although the conversation was because we were making so many payments towards the bond, really superseded that, but the way they're still structured, your money, any money you make in interest is to go to the town, and then the town will hold. We haven't been. So that's something to really think about and have a conversation with the town CFO and the selectmen. That may be something that we want to think about changing to look more like our bylaws, and which gives control of the money the way we've been doing it, which is in the trustees' hands and not. My fear is then, this money that's made on interest then goes to the town, And then the town, you know, when they fix the bathroom or fix the door, they say, oh, this is coming from the trustee fund. But we had a pretty good handshake agreement that, you know, the town takes care of roof, doors, bathrooms. And then because it is a town building and the trustees really take care of like more of the library stuff. That is my fear, not with this administration, but with the future administration that just will use, you know, that money. And then that's when people give you large sums of money, it's with the idea of that interest is gonna keep you going. So, you know, we won't be able to do strategic. Wouldn't be able to do the website. Because the town would be sitting on. So that's really something to, I think we need to sit down with the first selectmen and have a candid conversation. They're not, from our conversation with, the selectmen at the proclamation, that we do need to do some sitting down and kind of having conversation, doing a little bit of education on how we've been running and what we want.
I could see the town has the interest of money they give us the annual basis. Right?
Yeah.
Have the with donation and whatnot for the library.
Yeah.
It's definitely concerned. I don't think there's any nefarious ideas
Right.
behind it, but I think we need to maybe advocate for a little bit more control by the trustees. And I think you all have done your due diligence on that.
They're proposed to be a change. to the proposal.
Yes, so this was something that we did 2 years ago. When it came on, there was a committee and then we kind of last minute kind of rewrote almost all of it. And then that last section is what we sat down with previous CFO of the town and the previous town attorney, and this is what they want.
So yeah, we'll have to read this from the new town attorney.
But I will be at the meeting Wednesday night saying that there are parts of this that we really stand behind, particularly the terms for trustees and some other things in there, but we'd also like a conversation about some of the sections.
Couple other things to note in here. That are. I would say of interest, as it relates to the operations of the library, is if you see under. Under C. 2. We switch from establish and enforce reasonable fines and penalties for the violation of the rules. It is identify and adopt written policies to govern the operation and programs of the library. It's being a way to put us on path to a fine-free library. Which we can have that.
I'm close to being the last.
It is, yes, it is something that everyone is moving away from. Is fines. But something, we are doing things right now as it relates to auto renewals, that. This is what will allow us to move to a fine-free library, which is very much the norm in the library space nowadays. That's another one, just these are the things, just so everyone's aware. This is most likely going to be a bit of a firestorm again, as it was 2 years ago. Just because this kind of stuff gets very partisan. And we as trustees we can sit above the fray a little bit. Because we need to focus, I don't really care what else is going on in the other 75 pages, whatever it is. This is what we care about. And this is our talking points as to why charter revision is the way to go, the benefit to not just town, library, or as an operating body itself. So these are the things that we need to, that we should be. We gave input last time. I'd like to continue to be involved. I'm gonna do my best to be at the meeting, Scott, as well. Just because you know where I sat, you know where I stood on this stuff last time. And so I want to make sure that this whole process is being done in good faith. So, yes. I do notice we have transitional provision here, so we can. get rid of 2 Thursdays. We gotta change the dates on those. Um. The only thing I was looking at here. Do you recall? If we had put anything in here of. Up to 2 terms,
Let's do that. There isn't anything, and I wondered if that was deliberate.
I wonder, if it's a section, you know what, let me look.
thought we put something.
I thought we did
Up
too,
to-
I'm
up to
glad you
2
reminded.
consecutive
That might be in a different section of the chart.
for board.
Yeah,
Tenure,
yep. Glad you brought that up.
just something to look into, which,
Hey,
look, if somebody's been on the board for 4 years now. 4.5 at this point. If you wanna serve 9 years, man, go for it, but, I just, yeah, what I don't wanna do is have the same person over and over and over again. There's value to bringing new people into the board. New voices, it does allow for evolution of the board. You know, I've seen it, I've seen it personally in my time from where we were 4 years ago when we did the previous strategic plan. To where we are now, and new blood, new voices on the board is very important. Because it does, there's a lot of people in this town that care a lot about stuff, so. That is something to, yeah, just take a look at that,
yeah.
but we'll report back on this, next month.
When are they planning on? Used to know it. Planning on finalizing the charter?
Probably won't be for another
I mean,
year,
at the minimum a year,
Okay.
it'll be next November.
yeah.
We won't do a special.
They're not
election.
expected,
I mean,
there might,
might be.
it's. Cause,
Did they do the last one as a special election? I feel like that wasn't in the.
no,
No,
it was the regular election. But I wanna say it was with midterms. You know, the whole thing there,
Yes.
We're not feeling rushed.
No,
no, this is not, but we have our position that we are coming into from where we were 2 years ago. I'm just trying to think what. Whoever was elected last year? Yes.
yes,
So he has
whoever's been in for a year.
2 more years, this is his midterm.
So that was.
I doubt we'll see a special election for this, so we're looking at probably a year,
Okay.
is my estimate. If you want us, as a board, to continue to be involved, we will engage everyone as necessary. But there's a lot that needs to change in this as it relates to our board and how we are able to operate, how the library is able to operate. That I think it's important.
We do, not tonight, but maybe an optional education section on.
Well, I mean, we could, but understand that anytime you all are in the room together,
Good for you.
it's an open public meeting. So. We could do it. I mean, we could do. You can have a board retreat. And retreats, I don't believe fall under open meetings. You could do that and that could be a part of it. A retreat, if you all want to spend the day together. Get pizza.
Make it sound so good.
No, I do good retreat, actually, I have done some really good retreats, so,
So is there a definition as to what makes a retreat? It's like.
yeah, and I gotta.
I would be willing to entertain that, to understand that, because there's probably other things that we can put into a retreat that would.
So I was just thinking about that, we could do that in addition to. High performing board,
That's great.
that actually does it.
It does. So, okay,
Let's
yeah, let's talk.
see how I talk about that.
Yeah, I planned some good ones. So. Can't believe I'm volunteering myself or something, but
You
yeah,
just did. You're on good.
it might be good, previous boards I've served, they've brought Friends president and representative from the Friends. So it's a really good, again, team building action.
There's pizza.
It's a lot, right? There's this, there's the one board thing, there's the. It's like three things now.
Yeah, that could be a good board development exercise. Tell my wife, no, sir, it's got a board retreat.
Or retreat.
No, it is, it does make it sound right, and it is,
Fun.
we could use.
You say pizza, I'm just
I
like,
need-
you need a pizza tour.
Pizza and a spa, sounds.
Was she you first though?
Pizza.
No, I think I have to do this.
You gotta go to spa first. Get the toxins out and then replace it. All right, so nothing, no actions to be taken right now. Scott, as I mentioned, we'll connect on this and try to be on the Wednesday call.
Okay.
If not in person. But this is something that is gonna be very important to all of us. Forward. And then the next item of business is the annual report, which Jan has already shared with us, and we've been told we do not need to vote on. So that's why I felt fine going a little bit longer on the charter reform stuff, because that then moves us to our last item of business. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the agenda? Fantastic. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second? Oh, thank you. All in favor? So moved. With that, we will adjourn our meeting of the Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees at 8:17 PM on Monday, November 4th. Thank you very much, everyone. We will see you in
Good night, everyone.
You know.
Thanks, David.